What's up, everyone out there in YouTube land? It's me, Perry Lovewhistle, and while Zaner is currently parked, I am working on Engrosser, still leveling almost 100% in the Butcherblock Mountains. So I've got some updates on how I'm finishing out his gear. So first of all, I did get some hand-me-downs from Zaner. My Winter's Fury and Spined Seahorse Hide Breastplate, which were both gifts to Zaner, I have handed down to make Engrosser's life a little bit easier. But I also did briefly run over to Crushbone, not to hoard belts and do leveling in Crushbone, but to get a couple of items that are going to make leveling easier and quicker. First of all, the Shiny Brass Shield. Everyone knows about the Shiny Brass Shield. You get it on the Orc Trainer in Crushbone. It's also 10 magic resist and a light source, which makes a very useful item for any paladin or warrior coming up in Fadewar. Also, while I was in Crushbone, I grabbed a couple of brass earrings off of the Orc Taskmaster, but I also got a 2-strength silver amber ring from the same Taskmaster, and that's what I'm actually going to focus on to this video, is how to get those. After I give a quick tour of a couple of camps that I've been looking at in Butcherblock Mountains to get me up to level 17. After I got done fighting the ogres, I came over into the little nook that is just west of the chessboard. Most people just go to the chessboard. It will carry you through these levels. The chessboard is really easy to single pull and has, I think, 5 or 6 total spawns that get up into this level. But because of that, it's almost always taken. There's also this little camp of single pullable bandits that are also very useful, and they just greened out to me at level 17. So over on the other end of this same nook is a little obelisk here that has 3 orcs that spawn around it. They can spawn as scoutsmen, who are either dark green or very rarely blue to me. There's a blue one. Or oracles. And the scoutsmen drop small rawhide, which sometimes has 1 more AC than small tattered, which is what some of my pieces are. But they also give decent experience. So actually, before I leave here and go to Crushbone, I'm going to kill them all one more time. Now, even the dark greens give me a decent chunk of experience, and I'm easily going to be able to pull in level 18 just killing those orcs. But first, I have to go get my last ring, which means a quick run to Crushbone to free some slaves. Well, it is peak hours right now, so everything is camped, which on the plus side means I should be able to run around pretty safely. But it might mean that I can't kill these orc slavers as an example. But if you head into Crushbone and head over to the right, you get into one of the 2 slaver areas. Oh, excellent. They are up. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get one, but a lot of people know that the orc slavers will drop keys, and they're numbered, and the number corresponds to a specific slave. There are 6 different slaves. A male and female of Wood Elf, High Elf, and Dwarf. If you give the slave the right numbered key for them, then you get some experience. It's actually a decent little chunk of experience, and they despawn. But what a lot of people don't know is if you give them the earring off of the Taskmaster, And I've got one. You can also do another little 2-part quest, which is decent experience, but also tends to give you a couple of cool little items. And additionally, some decent little flavor text. For instance, the male wood elf sends a note back to his brother announcing that he is free and on his way home. The female wood elf similarly sends a note back to her sister. And when you take those notes back to the people that are named in them, you get an item. For the wood elves, it's leather armor. For the dwarves, the male has a chance for either a dwarven axe or a bronze 2-handed axe. The female gives you a shield. The female high elf will result in a robe, but the male high elf is the one that ends up giving you the 2-strength ring, which is why I'm running to the other slaver area, hoping to find a high elf male slave. It's also a good way to get Kellen to spawn if he's not up, because there will be another slave right here. A couple of dwarves, and more dwarves out here. All right, well, looks like I've got to get some either keys or more earrings to try and get a high elf to spawn. So I'll be back in just a second with a high elf slave. All right, and after way too much time spent freeing slaves, I have finally found my high elf male. And by the way, I've noticed a couple of patterns in these slaves. This one seems to always be the female wood elf. The one back there seems to be either a female dwarf or the male high elf. This one seems to alternate between the female wood elf and the female high elf. And over in the other slave caves, there's 4 male dwarves and one that could be, I think, any of the elves. But I've only ever seen the male and female wood elf. But now that I've got my note, it's time for me to run around and do some turn-ins, especially this ragged cloth note. The male wood elf gives you a note to give to his brother, Nildar, announcing that he has been freed and is on his way home. Merchant Nildar is the first merchant off of the Orc Lift. And he's excited that his brother is still alive. The female dwarf is giving her 2 weeks' notice to Kalameki of Tanned Assets. Who gives you a Targ shield, which sells back for 4 platinum. The female high elf gives a note to Mistress Neola with some cryptic message about how our suspicions may not have been as well founded as we thought. And according to the wiki, Mistress Neola is Neola Impholder in the Magician's Guild. There she is, who gives me a gossamer robe, which is not a bad chest piece for a beginner caster. No stats or anything, but it is 8 AC. And the male high elf has a letter for Dear Satine. Your inability or reluctance to leave your post in order to even attempt to rescue has shown me the quality of your heart. Hopefully, our eyes will never meet again. So that has me thinking, oh, maybe they were friends? You know, war buddies? But then when you turn it in to Guard Satine, he says, but she, you can take this. I guess I don't need it anymore. And gives you a ring. So I don't know if this was just maybe some code that got mixed up between the male and female elves, or maybe one person coded one part and didn't turn it over right to the other person. But it ends up alluding to what I see as a funny little romance between Guard Satine and the High Elf slave. And the male dwarf has a note for Halden, his old partner. Halden lives right here in the guardhouse next to Dell and Ironblend, but he is also a really popular guard for evil characters to kill, which is what's happening right now. But that's about it for today's adventure. Yet again, I wanted to do a quick quest and get one reward, and I ended up doing the quest several times, leveling up more times than I expected, and getting every possible reward for the quest before the one that I wanted. Now I'm almost level 20, which means there's going to be pretty much nothing more exciting coming from Engrosser. So I'll start working on some of my other alts and some of the other lowbie quests that they can do. So until next time, bye.